Essential fact number 6. Alimony is paid by the higher-earning spouse, which is almost always the man, to support the lower-earning spouse, almost always the woman. There are different types of alimony. The first is temporary alimony. This is money that the judge will order you to pay to your wife while the divorce is pending. The second is rehabilitative alimony. This is money that you will be ordered to pay her to quote-unquote help her become self-sufficient. Though why would she want to, now that she's getting free money? The third is reimbursement alimony. This is money you will have to pay to reimburse her for quote-unquote expenses incurred during the marriage, aka anything that she paid for, that she now wants back. And finally, the kicker, permanent alimony. This is money that you will be forced to pay her for the rest of her life. Your only way out of this is if she dies or remarries. So you will find yourself praying she gets hit by a car or that she finds some other schmuck to put a ring on her finger. It's kind of like a multi-level marketing scheme. The only way out is if some other fool buys in. Different states have some variations regarding spousal support. Judges in New Jersey may order you to pay limited duration alimony to your wife if the marriage was particularly short, when rehabilitative or long-term alimony wouldn't be appropriate. A Tennessee judge may order you to pay transitional alimony if he or she decides that your wife is economically disadvantaged and doesn't need rehabilitative support, but that she does deserve help to adjust to the economic changes that come with divorce. A couple of states have set upper limits on how long rehabilitative support can last. In Florida, rehabilitative alimony can't last more than 5 years. In Texas, judges must limit spousal support to the shortest amount of time needed for the recipient to earn enough to meet their needs. But none of these limits apply to permanent alimony. Because for couples that had a marriage quote-unquote of long duration, judges continue to have the legal authority to extend spousal support indefinitely. The law presumes that a marriage was lengthy if it lasted at least 10 years, but a judge may order the payment of permanent alimony to shorter marriages at his discretion. So there is no limit to how long spousal support can last. Permanent alimony is just that. Permanent. Its purpose is to place men on the hook to provide for the women they married, even after the women divorce them. Because the government certainly doesn't want to pick up the tab. But what if your wife makes more money than you? Are you as a man eligible for alimony? Yes, in theory. But judges rarely award alimony to men.
In the last 40 years, I have had 4 cases that I remember of men getting alimony that I had to twist their arms and beat them up in order to get alimony for them. Should men seek alimony? More of them should. Why don't men get alimony? Because it's my personal belief that the laws are neutral. They're gender neutral. But men do not get treated fairly when it comes to alimony in the court system. Judges are biased against them. They are, and I'm sorry to say it, but that's the truth.
I think family court is biased against men. In my experience of handling these cases all over New York State for plus 20 years, what I've seen is they don't usually get a break with child support. When it comes to custody and visitation, if they want to prove they're the best dad in the world, they need to really prove it. And with spousal support, a lot of times, if the wife is the moneyed spouse making a boatload more money, the judges will tell you, I don't care, I'm not giving him spousal support. Yet if the roles were reversed, it would be exactly the opposite. Just not fair. There's nothing in the law to say that anything is gender specific. It should be an equal playing field. It's getting better. It's better than it used to be 20 years ago, but it's still biased.
No matter how much I tried to prove I couldn't afford $865 a week, it didn't matter. The judge will say, do you have the money? And you say no, and they cuff you and shackle you and take you right up to jail.
Also, alimony is treated like child support in the way that you can definitely go to jail for not paying your alimony. You can lose your license. You can lose your passport. Shout out to the passport bros. You don't pay your alimony, they can take away your passport.
That's right. Your wife can literally wake up one day and decide she wants to cash you out. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, man. So she can literally cheat on you and then collect alimony. I don't think men know this. I actually know a guy whose wife cheated on him 15 years into the marriage, took half his pension, and he had to pay her alimony and child support. So don't think that there is any moral obligation for judges to award less money because a person cheated. Cheating eliminates alimony in Georgia, but it may be another state, but Georgia is for sure. So if you in Georgia and your spouse cheat, make sure you record it, get some proof so you don't have to pay alimony.
But is there anything you can do to protect yourself in this situation? Like a prenup. Can drawing up a prenuptial agreement between you and your fiancé before you get married avoid this situation? Some people would have you think so.
If you are getting married and want to preserve your financial security, a prenup is a valuable tool to consider.
Since marriage and divorce have a huge impact on love and money, it might be worth considering a prenuptial agreement, or prenup for short.
Whether somebody makes $40,000 a year or they make $4 million a year, each of those people need prenups.
Well, let me spare you a lot of research time and give you essential fact number 7. No, a prenup does not work. Why not? After all, a prenup is a contract, and usually a court must honor a contract that both parties have signed. That would be true if you were arguing your case in a court of justice. But as we previously made clear, a family court is a court of equity. And here, as we noted before, the judge is basically God, who can do whatever he wants without consequence. Here's the lowdown on prenups. A prenup can be declared invalid for any of the following reasons. If one party was pressured or coerced into signing it. If your wife says to the judge that she was coerced into signing it, the prenup gets dismissed. This coercion need not necessarily be from you. Any pressure put on her by your lawyer or family members also counts. If one party did not read it. If your wife says she did not read it before she signed it, it gets thrown out. If one party did not understand it. If your wife says she did not understand what she was signing, out it goes. If there is false information in the prenup. If any detail in the prenup can be proven to be false, even technically, by your wife's lawyer, then nope. If the prenup contains child support or child custody provisions. This is a big no-no to put in a prenup, because as we have seen thus far, a whole lot of people from lawyers to government agencies have a vested interest in who your kids go to after your divorce. And so, child custody provisions are not allowed to be included in prenups. Your children are their business, not yours. Also, it might offend Mr. God. And finally, it cannot be quote-unquote grossly unfair. This is essentially a catch-all clause that covers whatever is not covered under the previous clauses. And who decides if the prenup is unfair? You guessed it. The Holy One. This last clause gives judges full discretion in whether a prenup can be enforced. This is why prenups almost never stand up in court. All your wife has to do is claim she was pressured into signing it or that she did not understand what she was signing, and your carefully thought out and meticulously drawn up prenup gets tossed out like yesterday's garbage. This is why prenups are not worth the paper they're written on. You might say, then why are prenups even a thing if a judge can subjectively rule it to be unfair? They seem to serve no purpose. Well, I wouldn't say that. They serve the purpose of providing an illusion of safety for men who are thinking of getting married. And that's important. Anything that helps persuade the lamb to walk to the slaughter willingly under a false sense of security is a good thing.